The atmosphere is laden with the acrid tang of wood smoke and an unspoken dread that clings. This is the dawn of your wedding day. You are but 12 years of age. Suspended from a weathered wooden peg hangs the silk gown your mother has meticulously stitched, its rich blue hue achieved with indigo so rare it drained your family's grain reserves for 3 months, draping like a somber veil over the life you are. In mere hours, you will be escorted to the altar, not as a cherished bride, but as a bartered asset, a corporeal seal upon a pact forged in blood and lineage, uniting 2 houses in a bond rooted, not in affection but in the raw imperatives of endurance. This union bears no resemblance to the enchanted tales of courtship or the tender romances of our era. It embodies marriage as it prevailed through vast epochs of human chronicle. A merciless exchange wherein women served as tender, children as instruments of alliance, and mortality often as the sole reprieve from a covenant initiated in coercion and concluded in oblivion. As we unearth these veiled narratives of resilience amid anguish, if the obscured verities of bygone eras captivate you, I invite you to express your appreciation by engaging with this content, perhaps through a like or subscription. The marriage accord lies unfurled upon the oaken table, resembling a decree of doom, its Latin script undulating in the wavering glow of tallow candles. Sir Geoffrey de Montfort, 43 winters old, lately bereaved of his spouse, lord over 3 manors and 200 serfs, desires a bride. On offer. The deliberations spanned 3 arduous days, not for the intricacy of clauses, but as your father maneuvered to extract every conceivable gain from this disposition of his kin. You stood as his paramount possession, pliable in youth, promising in fecundity, exalted in nobility to ascend his house's station. That you had never beheld your betrothed held no sway, that you yet amused yourself with carved wooden figures was a mere hindrance, not an impediment. The essence of medieval matrimony diverged profoundly from contemporary ideals. It constituted no equitable merger of souls, but a juridical and fiscal compact among clans, frequently brokered while the intended bride slumbered in her cradle. The Catholic Church, destined in later centuries to exalt marriage as a hallowed sacrament, regarded it throughout much of the medieval span as a grudging concession to mortal frailty, a bulwark against the graver transgression of unchastity. Among noble maidens in the High Middle Ages, betrothal typically occurred between 12 and 14 years. For those of humbler stock, it deferred to 16 or 18 not from reverence for youth's sanctity, but because indigent kin required their daughters toil longer and lacked means for lavish endowments. Yet across strata, the core your mother's trembling fingers secure the wooden clasps of your bridal attire, each etched with your lineage's emblem, a swan transfixed by an arrow, an omen laden with foreboding. She has shared your father's bed for 16 years, wed at 13 to a stranger unveiled only upon the nuptial morn. She has delivered 9 offspring, 5 defied the cradle's perils. Her discourse never touches upon passion, only upon obligation, deference, and the artful traversal. Recall, she murmurs, her breath a warm caress upon your ear. A wife must emulate water, conforming to the contours of her container. Defiance yields naught but torment. The nuptial rite unfolds as a communal pageant, crafted to render the exchange irrevocable. Diverging from our era's observances, medieval weddings were seldom ecclesiastical affairs. The church's role was peripheral, perchance a cleric's benediction at the portal ere the true transaction commenced. The essence lay in attestation, in the populace's affirmation of a transference duly executed. You are paraded through the hamlet lanes akin to a votive offering. The assemblage convened not for jubilation but for solemn verification. In an age bereft of widespread literacy, such spectacles etched communal recollection. These rustics poised to affirm the day's events should legitimacy or heirship ever face scrutiny. Father Benedict, the priest, looms at the church threshold, his visage hewn as if from granite. He has overseen myriad such rites, beheld innumerable youths proffered like oblations. His Latin incantations cascade over you like indifferent rain, arcane utterances that forge your destiny. Wilt thou have this man to thy wedded husband, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death us do part? No query probes your assent. Volition extended not to minors, and at 12, you remained such. Sir Geoffrey advances to seize his acquisition, To you, he is an enigma, yet a spectre in your night terrors. Whispers recount his prior consort's demise in parturition at 15, her frequent marks of violence, her waning vitality and reticence preceding oblivion. He appraises you now with a yeoman's gaze upon fresh livestock, gauging vitality, progeny prospects, endurance. The band he affixes to your digit is forged of iron, not gold. Iron's selection was intentional, economical yet emblematic, unbending, perpetual, akin to matrimonial chains, impervious to fracture. Post-rite ensues the banquet, a macabre revelry in your forfeited liberty. Your father's grand hall is festooned with evergreen boughs and sputtering torches. Trestles sag beneath roasted viands, pallid loaves, and foaming ale. The attendees, all of mature years and complicit in the ordeal, hoist goblets to fecundity, to lineage's perpetuation, to the pact's prosperity. He queries sporadically on your tutelage, constitution, menses. Your replies are terse, dread-muting eloquence. Your repast congeals untouched, nausea roiling within. The troubadours of meridional France, progenitors of these romantic archetypes, extolled liaisons betwixt cavaliers and wedded matrons, ardour intensified by prohibition and abstinence. As night advances, the revellers wax inebriated and boisterous. Discourse veers to vulgarity, rife with quips on nuptial consummations, taming fledgling spouses, the imperative of prompt union. You grasp but fragments, yet the leering countenances and uproarious mirth convey intent. Your mother materializes at your side, pallid yet resolute. The bedding ritual stood as medieval nuptials' most appalling facet, a communal spectacle transmuting violation into festivity. The assemblage would chaperone the pair to their quarters, proffering counsel, jests coarse, and verifying immediate consummation. The bride's maidenhood was not presumed but corroborated publicly. You ascend the constricted stone stairwell to the appointed chamber, a confined, frigid space illuminated by a solitary taper, shadows cavorting upon masonry. The bed looms dominant, a robust timber frame atop straw pallet swathed in coarse linen, evoking an execution scaffold more than a conjugal haven. The female attendants disrobe you with rote proficiency, their touch detached. Your gown is meticulously stowed, a relic for posterity. Your chemise, gossamer and translucent, shields neither from chill nor scrutiny. Sir Geoffrey arrives amid the males, partially divested, intoxicated perchance a grace, as besotted men oft succumb to slumber prematurely. Tonight, he appears vigilant, intent on possessing his procurement. The cleric sanctifies the couch with asperges of holy water and invocations for fruitfulness. The throng encroaches, dispensing exhortations. This egregious intrusion upon intimacy was deemed essential, not barbarous to affirm the bond's legality. An unconsummated union was voidable, alliances sundered, witnesses precluded subsequent denials, securing the accord's fulfillment. At length, the horde recedes, not sans matrons parting at. Your mother bestows a forehead kiss, murmuring a supplication, her tears anointing your visage like dew. The portal seals with a sepulchral thud. Alone with this alien proprietor, who commands you more utterly than his chattels or domains. You are his chattel, his medieval matrimony rested upon unassailable patriarchal dominion. The husband reigned supreme, arbiter absolute, proprietor of all assets including his consort's person. Vows mirrored this. He pledged affection and guardianship. She, affection, guardianship, and obedience. Obey was no flourish but a juridical mandate. What transpires therein is no amorous communion but subjugation. Period tomes, penned by males for males, counselled on subduing youthful brides, quelling innate reluctance, establishing supremacy forthwith. Marital violation was inconceivable. As assault, but dawn yields no solace, merely the perpetuation of your altered existence. You stir to crimson stains upon the bedding, proof of consummation destined for exhibition. Your frame throbs in novel agonies. You navigate gingerly, each motion evoking forfeiture. Sir Geoffrey, attired, readies departure for no egress sans leave. No discourse with males unsupervised, no rebuff of intimacies, heedless of fatigue, malaise, or alarm. Medieval wedlock's jurisprudence stripped wives of autonomy. They held no title to assets, forged no pacts, initiated no litigation, drafted no testaments, sans spousal assent. Coverture doctrine subsumed a wedded woman's identity beneath her husband's. She vanished as an entity, your novel abode is a bastion in form and essence. Sir Geoffrey's manor crowns a rise, surveying the hamlet, its ramparts stout and unbreachable. Interior portals lack bolts, for they barred ingress, not egress, yet you are captive, ensnared by ordinance, convention, and the certitude of no refuge. The domestics regard you with commiseration tinged with fatigue. They have observed consort's transience, the ebb of optimism to despondence. Veteran attendants recollect Sir Geoffrey's antecedent wife, her advent vibrant, her gradual retreat to muteness and obscurity, her terminal cries in labour as he quaffed below. Your routine coalesces into acquiescence and fortitude. Pre-dawn devotions, morn oversight of chores, afternoon embroidery or distaff, eve in spousal couch. No seclusion. First gestation manifests swiftly, as anticipated and coveted. Medieval law grasped scant of inception beyond noting frequent congress with youths yielded swelling wombs. No stratagems for progeny spacing, no comprehension of feminine rhythms, no acknowledgement that incessant bearing imperiled health. At 14, medieval parturition was a harrowing trial, reaping innumerable lives. Absent sanitation, palliation, or incision, delivery devolved to primal strife betwixt existence and demise. Maternal mortality soared. Approximations indicate 10 to 20% of women perished from gestation or birth sequelae. Agnes, the crone midwife, her palms etched by myriad deliveries, wields folk nostrums and talismans, jasper upon your abdomen for analgesia, eagle talons pendant for expedition, invocations to Saint Margaret. Travail initiates at aurora, persisting nocturnal. You wail until vocal cords fail, then mime anguish soundlessly. Torment surges. Your spouse strides the lower hall, anxious not for your ordeal but his scion's viability. The neonate emerges a female. Disillusion permeates. A daughter holds utility for future pacts, yet no son fulfills patriarchal exigence. Sir Geoffrey's ire is glacial. He spurns the infant, queries neither health, departs envisioning. You christen her Eleanor, honouring your forebear, though paternal caprice may alter it. Medieval paternity conferred dominion over nomenclature, rearing, destiny. Maternal ties, though visceral, lacked juridical weight. Offspring pertain to sires as consorts to spouses. Postpartum convalescence is protracted, excruciating. Your immature frame, ravaged, festers with pyrexia for weeks, enfeebling. Agnes plies further botanicals and amulets, but era's healing ignored sepsis or repose's import. Your lord brooks no delay. With the wheel revolves, further gestations, arduous deliveries, daughters ensuing. By 18, 4 births, 2 interred in infancy. Your physique, depleted, age is untimely, scarred by reproductive imperatives. In reflective metal, your mother's visage stares back sunken orbs, stoic mien, vanquished carriage. Medieval matrons dwelt perpetually in gestation, parturition, or recuperation. Surviving females averaged 6 to 8 offspring, half perishing ere 5. Bereavement's psychic burden was colossal, yet scant interval for mourning ere next inception. Doctrine proclaimed such travail divine ordinance, Eve's legacy. Females were exhorted to embrace natal anguish as destiny. With forbearance and meekness, your spousal rapport, if termed such, hinges on dominion and capitulation. He addresses commands or censure. You respond deferentially when solicited. No dialogue, no affinities, no sentiment. You function as asset. Solitude's sting is paramount. Encircled by souls, yet bereft of allies, confidants, empathizers. Menials bridge no chasm of station. Peerage matrons rival or foe, bonds ephemeral per spousal leagues. Isolation absolute, inexorable. Offspring afford solace, yet constrained by mores. Nurture sans indulgence, foster sans shield. They are paternal property, your purview infancy alone. At 7, dispatched for tutelage elsewhere. Jurisprudence shielded not abused consorts. Medieval code sanctioned corporal chastisement, if temperate threshold, lofty, male-defined. A spouse might scourge with rod thumb thick, incarcerate, ration sustenance, demean overtly to uphold order. Your lord's brutality, intermittent yet looming, erupts at vexations, tardy repasts, delayed conceptions, filial fondness. Retainers avert gazes from contusions, your recoils, circumspect gait, akin to cowed beast. The church, potential haven, imposes further yoke. Confession mandates scrutiny of wifely lapses over personal woe. Obedience, submission, chastity of thought, modesty, agony is ordeal, not iniquity. Medieval theology deemed females frail, peccant, perilous Eve's heirs, bearers of primordial lapse. Redemption via patriarchal obeisance, stoic tribulation. Female individuality, entitlements, aspirations alien to dogma. Decades blur in gestation, delivery, bereavement, 9 births, 5 endure, each labor fiercer, convalescence prolonged. Your form, erst fragile, emaciates, afflicted with ceaseless ache, profound melancholy. At 25, deemed crone, tresses ashen, countenance furrowed, locomotion labored. 15 wedded years survived, yet existence mere subsistence vigilant, placating, enduring. Matrimony's fiscal calculus viewed consorts as ventures demanding yield, your endowment substantial, yet initial, maintenance, garb, healing, interment accrued. Barrenness or filicide signified deficit. This strain exacerbated unions. Sterile, daughter-bearing, or miscarrying wives scapegoated for fiscal woes. Remedy: annulment, remarriage to verdant prospect. Annulment viable yet arduous, costly, female adverse. Bases: consanguinity, impotence, non-consummation. Proof entailed attestations, intrusive probes. Petitioners oft maligned as adulteresses, sorceresses, perils dire. Your spouse eschews dissolution progeny suffice, scandal prohibitive. Yet dread lingers of discard, substitution with fecund youth. Mortality shadows, parturition, pestilence, assault, attrition sans sustenance or care. Female longevity inferior, childbirth culpable. Funerals of coevals abound, presaging your terminus. You beseech swift release, yet dread orphaning progeny in merciless realm. Medieval wedlock's psychic ravage defies full grasp. Helplessness absolute. No dissolution. Safeguard. Aid. Flight. Fugitives reclaimed. Chastised. Self. Slaughter damned. Eternally. Ensued learned impotence. Desires quashed. Instincts subdued for obeisance. Trained to deem torment normative, meritorious. Fulfillment in servitude. Your daughters embody aspiration and woe. Eleanor, 11, betrothal imminent, pacts forging, endowment amassing. She faces your inaugural dread, impulse to shield, forewarn, yet such heresy against providence. Cycles perpetuity, matrons rearing successors to replicate anguish, demise. Medieval matrimony sculpted polities, female vassalage foundational permeating governance, faith, commerce. Unremunerated toil domicile, progeny, fabrics, economic pillar, yet obscured as innate. Juridical scaffold elaborate. Canon, civil, custom reinforcing male prerogative, female duty, heir production. Enforced rigorously for stability. Ideology, amalgamated scripture, antiquity, law, female inferiority natural, control beneficent, divinely mandated. Your spouse perishes at your 32nd year. Felled in chase tidings evoking not ease but panic. Widows teetered precarious, juridically exposed, fiscally reliant. No patrimony claim, estate to heirs or suzerain, tenure contingent. Mourning fleeting, suitors emerge, eyeing fertile widow. Remarriage looms, abhorrent yet inescapable solitary females vulnerable. Your deceased sibling broker's second pact, eager expulsion. Aged, scarred, yet viable. Endowment diminished. Virginity forfeit, promise waned. Sir Richard de Vere, elder widower with mature issue, seeks household matron, bed warmer. Contract hasty, rite austere. Scant observers, commerce, not romance. Relocated to fresh citadel prison. Second union harsher. Sir Richard revels in subjection, torment. Flagellations routine, for sport not wrath. Debasements humiliate. He taunts powerlessness. Trauma accrues, vigilance, apathy, corporeal detachment. Survival via inward retreat, void vessel as decreed. First marriage progeny dispersed for fostering. Visits rare, sanctioned. Severance lacerates, yet sorrow concealed vulnerability lethal. sixth gestation at 35, geriatric per era. Frame falters, malaise, torment, malnourishment, sequelae. Travail 3 days, hemorrhage, depletion near, fatal. Néonat sans frais, expire post-baptism. Spousal fury, culpability ascribed, scourging savage fractures, viscera marred irreparably. Recuperation partial. Chronic torment, cycles cease prophylactic sterility. Yet barrenness spawns novel cruelties, obsolescence, encumbrance. Terminal years, seclusion, desolation. Concubine ensconced, your obsolescence manifest. Demoted to chatelaine sans esteem. Adolescent paramour eyes you pityingly, fearfully her destiny mirrored. Impulse to admonish, disrupt, yet impotence prevails. Apparatus inexorable. Medieval matrimony, societal edifice of patriarchal hegemony, female bondage. Brutality integral, sustaining male dominion. Women as propagative thralls, economic bedrock. Females as assets, endowments, bequests, coverture ensuring dependence, impotence. Theological buttress, doctrine of female vice, control redemptive. Suffering sacrificial for Christendom. Social vigilance. Defiance quashed publicly, exemplars reclaimed. Escapees, communal quarry, independence anarchic. You succumb at 38. Frame yielding to cumulative ruin, fever nominal, true etiology, systemic annihilation of personhood as expendable. Interment sparse, spouse feigns sorrow, harbors alleviation pacts for third bride. 14. Underway. Cycle perpetual, matronal immolation upholding edifice. Gravestone, if extant, inscribes name, dates omitting aspirations, terrors, affections, defiances. Medieval females effaced from annals as from existence. Surviving archives, pacts, testaments, suits, chronicle transfers, not humanity. Erasure intentional, female narratives deemed extraneous. Sparse records cloistered or literate nobles constrained by censure. Wedlock's psychic legacy transcended individuals. Violence normalized, child unions, female reductionism molding culture enduringly. Progeny imbibed. Brutality banal. Female inferiority innate, might soul shield. Sons anticipated deference, daughters, tribulation, trauma hereditary as estate. How endured, deemed order, not iniquity descent, stifled. Male gains vast, uncompensated toil, progeny factories suffering unheeded. Juridical sophistication. Intricate pacts extracting female value, curbing resistance. Theological finesse. Anguish sanctified. Submission exalted, enforcement mesh, oversight, reliance, impotence, force-trapping females. Your saga, myriad counterparts, concludes sans salvation, muted demise in unregarding realm, valued as heir, vessel, domicile steward, agony obscured, visions moot, passing unremarked. Yet obscurity harbors resilience. Amid brutality, tenderness persisted caresses, lullabies humanity preserved against erasure. Medieval matrimony. Engineered apparatus human to chattel. Bolstered institutionally. Church, law, economy, kin, polity. It faltered as endurers transmitted losses memory. Reclamations whisper. Lingering query. Brutality's echoes in veiled guises. Legal chains sundered, yet fiscal bonds linger. Public rights ceased. Private assaults endure. Endowments obsolete, yet reproductions toll female, born. As eyelids descend eternally in chill masonry, respiration faint in taper's dance, you bear unsaid utterances, unchosen paths, undreamt visions. 12 anew, in paternal hall, steel honing, maternal beads fervent. Circuit seals, wet yet in gloom, wind whispered, another invocation resonates. Aspiration that progeny remote awaken to realms where metal scores stone not to doom, but to etch identities as sovereigns, beyond chattels, vessels,